Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today after seeing The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 6. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on this current kind of feel and direction, read some of your guys' comments after last night's new episode, just give our thoughts on whether or not we think this direction will work going forward for The Walking Dead. And spoiler warning as per usual, if you guys are not caught up for The Walking Dead, if you missed it last night, we did a review for Episode 6, we did predictions for Episode 7, and we did a Q&A video giving our thoughts on the new RJ, or Rick Jr. Baby between Rick and Michonne, and that will be all linked in the end screen videos for you guys here, so after you're done watching this video, click one of those to watch those videos if you missed them last night. So really good stuff, really enjoying what's going on with The Walking Dead right now. So this one I feel like, I've seen a lot of your guys' comments, and it seems like so far, and I'll add a poll here in this video for you guys so you can vote at the top right, of whether or not your top right, whether or not this kind of Rickless direction for The Walking Dead is going to work. This is our first episode, so this is our first kind of full-length exposure to what we knew was coming, as we found out that Andrew Lincoln was going to be leaving the series, or going to be killed off, and whichever one they went with, and they went with the leave, which is good. This is what we've been wondering since May, since we figured that out, is what's going to happen to the series after. So what comes after? Rick is gone. Rick is no longer in the show. Can the show work? Can the show continue? And will half the audience quit watching the series like they said they would when this was kind of announced back in May? So we don't have the ratings yet for episode 6, but certainly we'll take a look at that once we get it this week, probably about Thursday-ish or Wednesday, late Wednesday. So look, heads up for that this week, guys, if you're interested to see how the response was from the viewership and the fans of the series that religiously watch The Walking Dead every Sunday, whether or not they were interested to come back for episode 6, after seeing episode 5 and knowing that Rick would not be in the show anymore, then, check back Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll go over what it looks like the fan response is to Rick having left. Did it somehow boost the viewership and more people wanted to watch it because they had heard from friends and water cooler talk that this is what happened in The Walking Dead, so they wanted to get caught up and see it? Or will it have the opposite effect where a lot of people are deciding, like, okay, I watched it up until that point, Rick is gone in the series, and I'm gone, right? I'm done. I'm up to the time skip, and I'm moving on. I'm not going to watch it anymore. I'm going to do something else on Sundays, right? So, man, this is a tricky one to see, and we're just a few days away now from kind of finding out that first kind of piece of information to where it's like, week after Rick's gone, how many people came back after, right? How many people came back and are still interested and are still engaged and still want to see the series after that huge shift in episode 5 going into episode 6. So that's it. Wednesday, Thursday for that. For today, definitely vote. Let me know where you guys are at with this one. How did you feel about watching this episode, the first Rickless episode? Now, we've had episodes without Rick in the past before in The Walking Dead. He's not in every episode of the series as you've gone through. Far from it. There's a lot of episodes that don't feature Rick in The Walking Dead series, and that's fine. But this is the first one in this new direction where we know he's not going to be returning, and the show is finding its identity without him. And I felt like it did feel like there was something missing, as some people have pointed out, but at the same time, I feel like it was pretty solid. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I think that, obviously if they were going to do something similar to this and he was still there, then like for the introduction of the Whispers, for the Finding Magnus group and all that kind of stuff, rather than seeing the council it almost felt like the council was led by Gabriel, which was a bit strange. I almost would have, but maybe he's the most kind of compassionate or the most kind of, easiest to get along with of everybody. And Michonne being head of security is not necessarily that easy to get along with. But so we did feel like, I'd say as a community, that something was missing from the episode because it was, missing those, that key character that you're used to seeing involved with all these scenes and involved with big moments and big events in the series. And so it did feel a lot different for me as a viewer watching it through, and for a lot of you guys based on what you said in the comments. But in terms of how we're feeling about it, pretty optimistic, I want to say, for most people. Most people who gave it a shot, most people who watched it through, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, leave a comment if that's not true, but most people, it sounds like, are, open-minded and are still, willing to try this new direction without the regular star for The Walking Dead. You still have Daryl, you still have Michonne, you still have Carol, you still have, I guess, Gabriel and the others, Rosita and Eugene, and so a lot of these survivors that have been around for at least, several years now, Aaron and some of the others. So I feel like overall the ensemble approach has been okay. It does feel like it's missing something, like we said, but at the same time, I feel like it's decent, and in terms of whether or not this direction will work, I think it will work in terms of, people will want to watch it. People will watch it, but I don't know if it's going to have that same kind of impact that it had before in the past, which is kind of that same kind of allure, especially without Rick and knowing that the movies are coming up. So a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that, taking a little bit of luster away from the original series, with people being like, I really just want to watch that, So yeah, that's kind of about the best I can say right now. Is I think it will work, and I think it is working right now. It also depends on AMC's expectations for the series. It depends what they need to do with Walking Dead, how much reach it needs to have, how much impact it needs to have, and how it will affect them as a whole. I think they've handled Rick's exit in the best possible way they could have handled it. I don't think there's any other way that they could have done it any better. Killing him off would have been probably even worse. So I like what they did, and everybody will probably always hope that at some point Rick will return to the series. Whether or not he will, we'll have to wait and see. He says he's not going to at all, or categorically it's not going to happen. So we'll see if that turns out to be true, and he never does. But I think we all hope that maybe at some point we could see something like that, even if it's after the movies or whatever. In the realistic sense, it's probably not going to happen. But I feel like even without it, this current direction will be okay. If nothing else, it'll be like Walking Dead is on. You can watch it if you want to. If you're not as into it as you were before, well, join the club. Most people aren't. But at the same time, it's there. AMC's producing it. It's going to be on. Fear the Walking Dead's going to be on. And it gives you something that's there. And maybe if you don't watch it every week, or you don't tune in to watch it on premiere night all the time, then that's fine too. And, I guess I would just say that it's pretty solid, and I think it will work somewhat, and I think it'll continue on and continue to be okay and continue to be decent, even though maybe its best episodes could possibly be behind it. But you still have Daryl, you still have some of the others there as well, too, that some characters that people really care about. But I do think they have to throttle back quite a bit on killing certain people off and going for these A-level kill-off type of situations like the Glenn, Abraham, Carl, these kind of deaths. I feel like for a while they definitely have to kind of veer away from that. And even though the Whispers are coming in and there's the fair coming and all this different stuff, I really feel like they have to drop back quite a bit because just of all the people that have either left, including Morgan and Rick, or have been killed off in recent years, it really feels like, to me, if nothing else, The Walking Dead needs to add to its numbers and not be killing off any significantly forefront characters. If they do, it's going to be like, it's almost like they're killing off so many and they're losing so many that it's almost like there's so few left that sometimes it's like, you're tuning in to watch, but who are you looking forward to see? Are you really that excited to see Michonne versus, Rick and some of the others? It's interesting stuff. So leave a comment below and vote in the poll. Let me know what you guys think. Will this Rickless direction for The Walking Dead going forward continue to work, or do you think it's going to drop? Do you think the series is going to drop right down to the point where AMC changes its strategy, or cancellation, or recombines Fear with the original series, or does something, a scramble move or something? Let me know what you guys think. Derek Laubach says, I thought this episode was trash, not because Lincoln was missing. The Whisper reveal was rushed. Carol Byrne in that group was so unsatisfying. How the F did she just walk in there? All the characters just felt off. So him feeling like the series was maybe too unfamiliar, or just kind of the scenes and kind of the way things went through being a little bit off kilter. I understand what you're saying. I get where you're at with that. And, in terms of the Whisper reveal, the thing is they've shown so much to us that the impact of the scene at the end didn't have nearly as much impact as it would have if we had never seen it in the trailer. So the trailer released it early, so it didn't get the same kind of impact. And I guess the big moment of the episode, either the Carol stuff or the reveal for RJ, I suppose, at the end, which is really quick, really dark, and almost hard to see. Watch the RJ video so you can see the stills from it. And it's the best stills I could capture from the footage in the episode. You can't even tell can't even tell what the kid looks like, barely at all. Like, you can kind of see it, but it's like hardly, man. Christian Carranza says, hey Trev, Q&A, now that 6 years has passed, what is going on with the Fear group within the timeline? Will Morgan ever return or know that Rick is gone? I think Morgan probably has returned, at least to figure out and find out that Rick is no longer there, and then maybe he left again, right? So maybe he came back at some point, was told by the others that Rick is dead, or they believe him to be dead, and then he must have decided, well, shit, okay, I'm not going to stay. Because Morgan, he didn't really have that much of a connection with anyone else there. You know, there was others, like, he met Carol, Ezekiel, Daryl, some of the others, but he never was like, you know, for him, you could even argue that he has a closer connection with the Fear group now than he ever did with anybody in The Walking Dead, except for Rick and maybe Carl. So when he finds out that both, he knows about Carl, but when he finds out that Rick is gone now too, he probably wouldn't want to stay. So my prediction is, I think he did return at some point. I think he found out that Rick was supposedly dead, and so he decided to leave again, and he didn't stay, and that's just what it is, and I think that's what we'll see in Fear, and I hope they address it. I hope this season coming up they have Morgan go at least head over there to check in on everybody, and they somehow sort it in so we get Morgan's reaction. That's one of the only things that they didn't do that much of, is we got the reaction of the people that were immediately there, who saw Rick and the explosion and everything else, but we didn't get to see much after. You know, we didn't get to see like a funeral. We didn't get to see everybody cry and respond and react to that. Maybe they wanted to skip that because they just felt like it was so unnecessary, and also the fact that since we, the audience, know he's alive, they didn't want to show us and spend too much time with the group reacting to something that isn't true. Their idea is got to be that he's dead, and so far as we know now. And so for them to kind of react to his death and do a funeral and do all that kind of stuff, you know, Michonne was there at the spot, so maybe they do think that he somehow disappeared or something like this. But you know, there was no body to bury or anything like that, so there's no gravesite or anything. But at the same time, it's just like maybe they didn't want to do that because the audience knows he's alive, so it didn't make sense to kind of do that too much, so they decided to do the skip and everything to also create some other, you know, forefront characters like Judith, kind of a new beginning with some new important characters, Magna and the others. Zombie Baxter says, it's good to see that you're finally gaining subscribers again, Trev. So for a little while, don't worry, they'll leave. You know what I mean? They're just stopping by. They're just stopping in. You know, it'll leave. But thank you to all you guys who do subscribe to the channel and everything. You know, at least I'm proud that the channel has been able to continue on forward. We've been able to keep going throughout these years, even though The Walking Dead has declined in popularity so drastically to where it used to be getting like, you know, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 million type views per episode, around that range, to, you know, now where it's getting like 4 or 5. You know, and the fact that you guys are still here and we're still, you know, hanging out, we're still having fun, and we're still having a good time. You guys are still subscribed and engaged and everything. Thank you guys for that. That's really awesome. And for those who don't, that's cool too. No problem. You know, I get it. Not a problem at all. I'm just happy that we're going to be able to continue to do this, I think, and even that the series is still on too, to give us something to watch on Sundays. Because if it wasn't on at all and there was no Fear, I don't really know what else. I would probably just play video games or something. I don't know, you know, because there's not that many other series that really are that good like The Walking Dead is, and Game of Thrones and Fear and some of those others that I like to do reviews of with you guys and discuss. WebApp31 says, so did those saviors kill Alden? Well, that's a good question, right? I mean, we didn't see him yet. Maybe we'll see him at the hilltop after. And the biggest question, whether or not Maggie will still be there, or if we've already seen her last scenes. It feels like she should be there, because it feels like we haven't seen the end of her. It feels like she hasn't taken her leave yet, and that at least deserves a scene. Maggie's leave at least deserves 1 or 2 scenes, and we haven't seen that. So based on the footage and what they've produced for us so far, I'd almost tend to think that we got to see at least one more scene with her. So she probably is still in charge of the hilltop, and maybe she's got one more episode, which could be 7 or it could be 8, and then she could be saying goodbye. We'll see. Bruce Howard says, bring all the survivors together in the last movie as a series finale. That'd be really cool, man. Especially now that we've figured out about RJ and that whole thing. They got to be reunited with Rick at some point. They got to, right? Windsock said, why did we jump 6 years? And like we were just discussing, it does skip a lot of territory. It does skip a lot of stuff. So I understand if some of you guys are irked about the fact that it's 6 years, a long time. It's really crazy to see a time jump like that in The Walking Dead. The comics never did that, never did anything close to that. So it is strange to see. But at the same time, probably for Judith is probably the answer. Most likely. And I've liked how much they've used her so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from Judith in the future. That could be really cool. As well as Henry, too. Henry, so he could age up a little bit as well. Mark F. says, I need Daryl's dog to live a happy life for 3 seasons. So, yeah, Daryl's dog. I hope that the Daryl's dog does live for a couple years. I like the idea of Daryl having a dog. It reminds me of, I think they did like a giant statue where you had Daryl and he was like, he had his crossbow or he had like some knives or something, or a knife, and there'd be like these wolves around him, and it really reminded me of Wolverine a lot, like wolves or dogs or something like that. So to give him like a pet dog makes perfect sense, unless you want to go with a wolf or something, that wolf. But a badass dog will work too, right? That's cool. Because then as Daryl kind of comes in, and if anyone messes with him, his dog will fire off. He's dangerous, man. He's like a lone wolf, but he's dangerous dude. He's gonna get you with a crossbow. Then you got this dog charging after your ass. Then he's got the knives. You know what I mean? He's got it all figured out, dude. You approach him. You could have 2 or 3 guys, and maybe the dog takes one of them down. He takes the other down, and then he brings out the knife and takes the other down. And you take 3 or 4 guys out at once, right? Really cool. So, yeah, man, really enjoying what they're doing with Daryl, with the whole kind of hermit feel and idea type of deal. It's awesome, right? Really cool. Unbreakable says, I'm so confused with you lately, Trev. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I remember when you said almost every episode was amazing, and now I feel like this season is incredible, and they're just okay for you. Well, like I said, dude, I'm here making my videos, giving you guys my honest feedback on how I feel about these episodes. But I did say that I thought that episode 5 is probably the best episode of the series ever. When you look at everything they did for us in that episode, bringing back certain people and everything else, the emotion in that episode, the roller coaster ride they took us on that episode. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but because I have felt that season 9 has been incredible so far. Maybe you're disappointed because I thought last night's episode 6, was decent or just okay for me, or good, in the category of good, but not in the category of unbelievable, amazing, one of the best ever, that kind of thing. I'd like to think that I have a certain amount of integrity with you guys, and with integrity, and then also honesty, integrity, and also I guess just being open, transparency with you guys, letting you guys know, like, okay, this is how I'm feeling, this is why, and defending my reason, my logic. Everyone has their own, genres that they prefer. Everyone has their own, things that they prefer, right? Some people, they really love to see the relationship stuff. For them, maybe episode 6 was one of their favorite episodes they've seen in a long time. For me, based on the rating, the way I do things, the way I rate the episodes to see it, is also based on momentum, things like that. They had incredible momentum going up to episode 5. I thought that season 8 had incredible momentum going through with All at War, but I was alone in that. Basically, I loved all the action that we got to see throughout the season. I love the twists and turns, but that's me, and I don't really change what I do to fit with other IMDb critics or Rotten Tomatoes critics or whatever. That's not my deal. I do reviews, not critiques, and I do them based on how I feel about the episode. So, as I'm saying, this current direction right here, like the way I'm feeling about the current direction is, I think it's decent, I think it's good, which would be in like 7 to 8 type of range, maybe 8.5 range for Walking Dead. Have we seen better Walking Dead? I think so. Have we seen more interesting Walking Dead? Yeah, probably. Just got to see how this direction kind of turns out, and if things really pedal to the metal, if we start seeing some whispers coming in, taking dudes out, if we see an awesome introduction for Beta and Alpha and these other characters really coming in and really bringing in that sense of dread, or that sense of just fear and everything else, something to fear. then that's kind of what I prefer to see. The happy stuff is good too. We got a lot of that in this episode and everything. So but my job is not to just tell you. The point of why I bring this up is for Unbreakable and everybody else. This channel and the way I do my reviews here is not to just tell you every episode is incredible all the time and better than everything they've ever done. There are high points in the series, there are low points in the series, and I'm not just going to come out and tell you every season is better than every other, and that's not a new thing. Back in Season 3, Season 4, when Season 4 was on, I was saying I like Season 3 better most of the time, except for Too Far Gone. That was incredible. The second half was actually pretty good too, but I loved Season 3 at that point. It was like my favorite season up until then. I liked it more than 4, and then 5 kind of blew that away, and then 6 even kind of better for me, and then 7 starting crazy, and then kind of coming down after that, and then 8 being crazy for me too. With the first half of 9 also being insane, and some of the best stuff we've seen. Episode 5 being some of the best we've ever seen. So I hope that makes sense. My job is not to just this isn't even a job, right? This is us hanging out talking about stuff. But the purpose of me doing the videos is not to just tell you every time The Walking Dead is the best ever, it's ever going to be, and ever whatever. That's not the deal. You know what I mean? The deal is to look at the episodes, look at what they include, look at what they entail. Get the theme of the episodes, get the feel of the episodes, see how much of a hook or a draw they have, see the current direction with the momentum of the episodes going into that episode and out of the episode. How does it affect the series? Are there things in the episode that could have been done better, like the Carol fire scene at the end of this one? It was still cool, but you think about that scene, you think, wow, that could have been like, seeing her sneak up on them, seeing them plan them out, everything like that. But again, everyone has their own taste. So for some people, they wouldn't want to see that. For me, it would have been really cool to see that. I would have liked to have seen that, but that's my deal. That's something that that appeals to me. To other people, the baby stuff, and which it does appeal to me as well too, but maybe not as much. So that's the stuff. Long story short, I'm not here just to tell you every episode is better than every episode before, and every episode is equal, and yada yada, that whole deal. That's not my deal either. My deal is to give you my honest thoughts on the episode, my honest review of the episode, how I'm feeling about it, based on what I like myself, right? And so you may like things differently. You may feel like different seasons are better. Kind of pretty much everybody has a different favorite season. There's almost nobody who would say, there's almost, if you took 100 people and you asked them out of the 9 seasons, which is your favorite? Season 9 is not done yet, but you see what I'm saying? They would all have different ones. And I've done this many times, ask people what their favorite seasons are, and if they can agree that this season is the best or whatever, and they can't, because everyone has their own favorite parts. There's a lot of people who still love Season 2, or who still say the premiere episode of The Walking Dead, Episode 1, Days Gone By, is the best episode they've ever done, right? So everyone has their favorites. Everyone has things they look for, most, and things they enjoy. And when I'm doing these with you guys, my job is not to just tell you every time that every episode is better than every episode they've done prior. That's not the deal, and that's not what I do. So I hope that makes sense. And you're kind of looking at this as like that's a bad thing or that's wrong, and it's not. That's right. That's what you want. You want people to be honest with you and to have integrity with you. You don't want people to just lie to you and tell you what you want to hear all the time. You know what I mean? You'll like them if they just lie and tell you what you want to hear every time. You will like those people. That's a beta type of, you want to talk alpha beta, that's a beta type of feature that people love to be told what they want to hear. But that's not my MO. I'm too honest for that, which is for good or bad, right? Doom Guy says it's Rick James, bitch. So for some reason when I heard RJ, Rick James, I thought about that too, right? It's like the couch, like after couch, man. The Rick James stuff. So that's funny. Dave Chappelle for sure. When I heard RJ, I thought Rick James too. But Rick Jr., right? Rick Jr., RJ, not Rick James, bitch. So it's good stuff. Anyway, that'll be it. That'll wrap for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. How are you feeling about this direction? And check out the other videos from last night. If you missed them, I'll have another video for you guys back again tomorrow. Leave your comments and questions for the Q&As for that. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you guys for subscribing, all your support. Thumb up the videos, like it, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys again soon. It's Trev saying peace. Later, guys. See ya.